what do you remember the like first real gay thing, if anything, like that you remember watching?
And like I said, who hasn't had like the crush for the older man?
I feel like a lot of gay men are very resentful of positive representation and critical. They want to tear it apart because that's not what they lived. Hi, welcome to the DL show. I'm Drew.
I'm Leon.
Yeah, today we're going to kind of talk about the gay media that kind of like, I feel like shaped us. Because I feel like growing up, I didn't know anybody gay in real life. So all I had was media to be like, oh, this is how I'll learn, you know? But we're specifically talking about like MLM today. Like, trust me, we watch everything gay. Like, oh, we love the lesbian. We love it. We watch anything gay. But that way, just to funnel it, I feel like especially since we're gay men, we can speak about experience more. Yeah.
Or the like stuff that we can relate to.
Yes.
So, but first, how are you? How's your week?
You know, I feel like the past like couple weeks have been like pretty taxing mentally, but I feel like I'm really getting the hang of stuff. I got a cat. She's under the couch right now. That's kind of helped mentally. Her name's Claudia. I feel like that also kind of ties into like my song of the week, if you don't mind if I kind of said. So this week I picked Thank You Song from FK Twigs, who's one of like my favorite artists of all time, and specifically this lyric, which is, thank you, I'm okay, 'cause you care, I made it through today. And like the amount of nights the past couple weeks where because I was with friends or family, like I feel like I made it through the night and I'm okay, like honestly has meant so much to me. And I'm so thankful for my family in the form of like friends and in blood. And even outside of that, like I feel like family, especially in Pride Month, we know as like queer people, like family is such a broad term. And like someone could be your biological parent and not be in your life. And that's not going to be more family than your friend who you see every day who has your back, you know? So thank you. Honestly, thank you for like, it's been nice hanging out and like seeing my friends more. And so, yeah. So that's my song.
That's good.
How about your week and your song?
My week, it was pretty chill. What did I do? And I lucky don't do anything. But it was good. I feel like because of work, we don't hang out that much, which is annoying. But I love that we still find a way to like live each other.
Exactly. Even that one night we went to Sunset Cliffs after a picture for work. It was nice.
We should do that again soon.
100%. We also want to experiment with like filming outside of our
what do you guys think about that?
I don't know, like
maybe at a park, just like outside.
Exactly. Maybe somewhere in San Diego. It'll be nice.
Yeah, like come in below.
Yeah, exactly.
But for my song, I chose Blue Skies. It's a cover by Lana for this random Apple TV show I watched. But I mean, I love the song because it has this really like kind of like old timey vibe.
Yeah.
But it's like really upbeat. I don't know. I really like it, especially because it's about how your perspective shifts when you're in love, you know? Because it's like, for example, this lyric, blue skies smile at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. And it's like, when you're in love, but like the sky is blue. It's clear. You don't know, no worries, nothing, just a blue, beautiful sky. So I love it. It's just
good imagery.
It's good imagery. Lana, like, even if she doesn't write it, I feel like her voice has a way to like bring the lyrics to.
Yes.
I don't know.
100%.
I love Lana.
Yeah. We love Lana. We don't play.
Yeah. But for this week we wanted to do like queer media, mainly like stuff that kind of like you said shaped us.
Yeah. What do you remember the like first real gay thing, if anything, like that you remember watching? That's like fully gay, you know? There's stuff that has gay little side characters.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it. Like, remember the firework Katy Perry video? That was the first time I saw.
Oh my God, yes.
Guys kissing.
Yeah, same.
But like media, the first thing I think I saw, it was probably Call Me by Your Name. No, because I remember watching it on my phone like midnight because like I with headphones, like because I was like, okay, I don't want anyone to see me watching. But yeah, that was the first thing. Maybe not the best example for like, but it kind of but like it makes sense because I feel like it's an experience that like everyone kind of goes through.
Yeah,
you know, falling for someone older.
Yes, and not for nothing. Like we were literally that age. We were 17, 18 when that came out. We were literally Elio's age, and so like I remember I was I watched it in theaters, me and my friend. This was before we had a car, so we Ubered there. It was like in Hillcrest, of course. And we like snuck in sushi. So like we're like off to the loud ass containers. No, literally. And we were just, the theater was entirely filled with like old, like white gay men. But all that aside, like I was locked in. And I feel like at the time I also had a crush on someone who was older. So I was like, this is me. But it's so funny because I feel like in retrospect, the lessons I thought I learned from that movie at that age, it's not the same lessons that I would get from it now, I feel. Especially because there's so much discourse about it. Can we talk about it? Can we talk about this Call Me By Your Name discourse? Like, so for those who don't know, Call Me By Your Name is a film by Luca, and it came out in 2017 starring Timothy Chalamet and Armie Hammer. And it's about this 17-year-old boy who's like half Jewish, half Italian, in somewhere in northern Italy. And his dad's like a professor. And so he gets a TA essentially to come in and help him out, like a research assistant. Literally. And so they end up throughout the summer, ends up falling in love. Spoiler alert. But the nuance or kind of where the discourse comes from is the fact that Elio is 17 and Oliver's 24, which, you know, is in America is not the age of consent. It is the age of consent in Italy, but Elio and Oliver are both like half American, or like Oliver is straight up American and Elio's like half. So I see where on a first glance, you're like, oh, is this promoting this? You know, is this bad? But how do you feel? Do you feel like it is?
I feel like it's not promoting it because I feel like at the end of the day, like Elio didn't get his happy ending.
Yeah.
I feel like I would consider it more promoting that idea if it was like a happy resolution.
Yes.
You know, like, okay, like here, if you do this and this, like you'll be happy. Yeah. I would see that more as like a bad thing, but since he doesn't end up with him, it's more like a cautionary tale.
Yes.
Because I also feel like the movie is mainly about young love, but with a gay twist.
Yeah.
You know? Because especially like heartbreak, it's just, I think it's more putting into like a movie the heartbreak of a young gay man.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, who hasn't had like the crush for the older man, you know, feeling like if he's not with you or if he's with someone else that you're like less than. So it's more, I don't think it is promoting it. I think it sucks that the circumstances that those have to be the circumstances that we meet the characters in. But I don't think it depends on how you take it.
Yeah.
Because if you're using the movie like to do that type of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, like as an excuse.
Like as an excuse. Yeah. Like, oh, well, they're doing it. So like it should be like, no.
No. Yeah.
Like it also depends on the person and how they take it.
Yes. I also feel like a lot of people are kind of very, especially on like film discourse, film Twitter, is like they have a point that they make in their head and you kind of can't sway it. For example, a lot of people think that it's not a cautionary tale, which I interpreted it as well. I feel like I said, when you're young and you watch it, you think it's this romantic story of love and loss. But the older you get, the more you're like, this was more of, I mean, there's a reason why Elio is the main character, not Oliver. And I get if like, maybe if Oliver was in a way redeemed, or like by the end of it, Elio and Oliver don't end up together. Oliver ends up married with another woman that he was kind of on and off with. And it leaves Elio crushed. And so I feel like the film is very clearly saying something with that message, right? But there is one speech that people feel like muddles that interpretation, which is the dad speech. When he tells like Elio, like, I was close to having what you guys had. And in a way, people are like, well, that romanticized it. But I feel like what he was really saying is like, experience love, don't for its fullest. Like, he's not saying that specific situation, but in general, like, jump in, you know, allow yourself to feel heartbroken if it ends, but you have to be able to put your whole heart into something for it to be worth something. And I feel like that was the real message that Call Me By Your Name has, is like, even though something may end in like tragedy, loss, like it's still worth to try it. And I feel like, yes, it's nuanced. Yes, it's a little weird. But one thing that I feel about film is just because it shows something doesn't mean it's saying it's okay. And I think that's something a lot of people have lost the understanding of like, art is supposed to be subjective. You're supposed to put your thoughts into it. That's why I said when I was 17, I put my thoughts into it. And now I'm older and I put something different into it. So that doesn't make it wrong or right. You know, that doesn't mean 17-year-old me was like, you're going to hell. Like, you know, it was just like, that's just how I was feeling at the time.
And also, I feel like movies are very superficial because, like, for example, I read the book, and in the book, it goes into like way deeper into Elio's like thought process and his perspective on everything. And I feel like it's a story of a young man in love.
Yeah.
Because like the book, it talked about the deep of the love he had for Oliver. But like, you know, at the end of the day, he was crushed by it. So I feel like you need to have a nuance to like what you watch because it's not all just surface level.
Yeah.
You have to make, like, of course, the characters are fictional characters, but try to go into their thought, like their perspective.
Yes.
Like, okay, when you're young, you don't really think about age.
Yes.
You know, like the age difference, because you don't see that. Like,
yeah.
You know,
everybody thinks they're more mature than they are at that age.
100%. But like, I feel like Call Me by Your Name, as good as it is, it shouldn't be held as like
the ideal
gay representation.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's not.
It's not, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Let gay people have nuanced things too.
Yeah, it's not all gay people are good.
Yeah. Hi, key.
And that's good.
Yes.
Be like, for example, like something that I feel like should be held to a higher regard, in my opinion, it's Heartstopper. Because like, call it what it is, cringy, too childish, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's for young gay men.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Heartstopper, can't we?
Like, I feel like it's a good segue because I feel like all the praise that Call Me by Your Name got, it should have gone to Heartstopper too.
Yeah.
You know, because it's, like I said, as childish as it may be, it's still a simple love story. You know, they're young kids in like high school. Whatever. Yeah. And it's a very simple story.
Yeah.
You know, great side characters.
Can you break the story down for those who don't know?
Heartstopper, it revolves around Nick and Charlie, but Charlie is a gay kid. He was outed in school. And Nick is this straight guy who becomes close with Charlie.
Yeah.
And he later starts to realize that he has feelings for Charlie.
It's so cute.
I love that in a way it shows like both struggles of a gay.
Yeah, cool. That's true.
A gay guy, you know, the outed one, but also the one that's coming to terms
with his sexuality.
And that's the premise of the story, pretty much. Just them trying to figure out their, like, you know, growing up with these feelings that a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're different. But in a way, they were able to find their community too within their friends, you know, the ideal found family. I feel like it's very well executed there.
Yeah.
You know, because, well, Elle, she's a trans girl. Then there's Tara and Darcy, who are both lesbians. Nick is gay.
Charlie's bi.
No, Nick is bisexual. Charlie's gay. And then there's Tao, who's this token straight guy. But, you know, it's a really...
He's an ally, so that's cute to see, too.
Ally. You know, there's nothing wrong with being straight ally.
Yeah. Can I say something about Heartstopper, actually? One complaint I see lodged against it often is it's not realistic. You know, blah, blah, which I think is a lot of projection. Because, like, not in some egotistic way, but low-key, Heartstopper was literally my experience. I was a gay kid, eventually outed, and I ended up falling for my straight friend who later realized he was bisexual, and we eventually got together in high school. We were 15, 16. Like, that was my experience to a T. Of course, slight differences. I mean, they're all white and British, and we were brown in San Diego. And we dealt with certain things differently. But I feel like a lot of gay men are very resentful of positive representation and critical. They want to tear it apart because that's not what they lived. That in a way, others shouldn't have that. And I don't like that. If it's giving those people who are like, I got to pay for my college. Why do these people get it for free? You know? And it's like, why wouldn't you be happy that the next generation is having this cute, pure representation and emphasis on pure. One thing that we talk a lot about, even amongst ourselves, is the gay men community is so sexualized, both by straights and by the gay men themselves. And so, like, to have something that's super pure, just two high schooler boys who are kissing and nervous about even, like, doing anything more, like, when one got a hickey, was a freak out. Like, that's cute. Like, that's representation we need. That's representation, you know, people like to say, oh, Heartstoppers for straights. And I'm like, no, you're just sick in the head. Like, your perception of gayness is just not the right
straight representation of, like, gay love.
Yeah.
A lot of people say,
all the time. I'm like, no. And, like, you know what? There's some truth, but not in the way they say it.
Okay, I get that. But also, I'm like, I hate that. Because at the end of the day, like, gay men that, like, are super overly critical about, like, for example, Heartstopper, at the end of the day, yeah, you're the an audience, but you're not the target.
Oh, you ate that. Yeah.
It's like, like you said, this is, how could you not want something pure for like the next generation?
Yeah.
You know, like if we didn't have it growing up, why would you not want, like, you know, the younger kids to have something good to look up to, you know, something that's not like always overly sexualized? Because I mean, from the media that we consume, that's how how our personalities are shaped. And that's why maybe a lot of gay men are super like sexualized, because all the representation they got was probably like
Queer as folk. Like, you know, which is softcore.
Literally,
like,
like, you know, as good as it is, that's like softcore.
It is 100% softcore porn.
Yeah.
I said softcore. So kind of
say that. Yeah. But yeah, like Heartstopper, I think I'm so glad. I'm so happy it got picked up. You know, it's been renewed, I think, for season 3 and 4 already. Yeah. So all flowers to them, because
can they? But while we're on the topic of Heartstoppers, I think that we need as a community to be able to have constructive criticism, not just criticism just to be negative. And the one thing personally, my one issue, literally it's not even an issue, it's just like something I feel, is like, I could tell it was written by a woman. And I don't know if she's straight, I don't know if she's queer, and I don't know, and I'm not trying to assume, but one thing that does kind of like irk me, and I feel like, is like, I feel like non-gay men write gay men in a straight way sometimes. Like, I feel like it started off that way, but it eventually grew to more nuance. But to me, I see Charlie as like, okay, you're the girl, Nick, you're the guy. And it's because I've consumed so much media. Like, there's this webcomic series that eventually got printed. I love Check Please, remember? Oh, so good. But that's another one where it's like, the main character is a gay femi boy, and the love interest is the bisexual mask one. Yes. I'm like, yes, I eat that up. And that's not a bad thing per se, but it is something that is common. But that's not a complaint I see lodged against Heartstopper. So I'm like, you guys are complaining for the wrong things. Like, if you want to complain, you can have your issues with maybe how Charlie's sometimes represented as like super damsel in distress, which, you know, there is real to that. But sometimes I would want Charlie to have a little more urgency in his endeavors. But that's the one thing where I'm like, and honestly, I don't even care. Like, when I'm watching it, it's not even something I think about. Like, maybe the one time, as I remember when they were at the Louvre and Charlie fainted, I was like, oh, brother. It's just yes.
You know, I get that, because it is, I feel like it's also a little like detrimental to like the image, how people perceive.
Yeah.
Men. But also, like, I feel like I used to feel like that, but also at nowadays, I'm just like grateful.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, even if it's written by women, I'm glad that like the story's been.
Yeah, and there's love in there. It's not like women. It's not fujushis who are like fetishizing. I think it comes from a pure place.
But the way fujushi, like, dude, some of their content, like, I don't know, like,
100%. It's because guys are sometimes too rough with things, and like, I feel like romantically we have maybe a more feminine heart. Like, we like the soft stuff, and I feel like women know how to do that well. Like the cute moments, you know, versus like, I mean, Call Me by Your Name was written by a man, and that's like sexual, and then the other ones are like written by women, and they're not really. So, you know, I feel like there's nuances, and we love Heartstopper at the end of the day. We really do. And we're glad it exists.
Oh, well, yeah.
And I kind of want to connect that to maybe something else that. So I think the reason why Heartstopper is so important is because it's them. They're the main characters. But one kind of representation I feel like I would love to shout out is, like, I feel like the blueprint. And I didn't realize that until I actually sat down and watched the show. It's Kurt from Glee.
I have it here.
Yes! Like, because come on, Kurt is our forefather.
Like, bow down.
Bow down. And you know what? Before I watched Glee, I would have assumed Kurt was the most annoying character on the show because of how gay men talked about him. Yeah. Gay men, not straight women, not by gay men hated Kurt so bad that I was so ready for him to be the biggest, like, stereotype token. And tell me why I watched the show and I'm like, Kurt, you're the greatest character ever. Like, he's so real. And I think that so much of the Kurt hate comes from internalized homophobia, because they all think that they're Blaine. They all think that they're Rachel. But no, you guys are Kurt, and that's okay. But that's okay, because Kurt's amazing. Like, and I feel like Glee was important for that. And like, people love to hate on Glee. We talk about this.
I feel like it's also just like jealousy.
Yes,
Like,
100%.
such an openly like. Well, I don't know. I think I read somewhere that like in the beginning he wasn't like out. Even though like he has like a super like feminine voice, but you know he came to terms with it, and like I'm sure to a lot of, but me probably even back then, seeing someone like Chris Colfer be in such like a stage, I'm sure it made them mad.
Oh.
You know, and like I said, jealous, bitter.
And that's the thing where we talked about with Heartstopper. It's like, you guys should be happy for progressing. Maybe it's not what you want, but it is progression.
something.
Yes. And I feel like, I mean, Chris Colfer won a Golden Globe for it. Like,
Literally.
not a lot of people have that. And yeah, I will forever love Glee for the representation it brought across the board. I mean, Santana, Brittany, Unique. There's just Kurt Blaine
now too.
Oh, 100%. And even Blaine, like Darren Chris, like they can never make me hate you in the sense of like you can play gay all you want because Blaine, like, also was great representation. I
like him and Chris and Currently pushed the door open.
Oh, pushed it. That's so true. Like, cause not for nothing, Glee at the time was like the biggest show fucking like at the moment. It was massive.
Like season 3.
Oh my god.
I mean, everyone wanted to be on Glee.
Everybody. And so like such a main show to have such prominent gay characters, it was everything. And I feel like there's so many scenes where I'm watching it and I could tell, as much as Ryan Murphy, I could never give you 10 because they could never make me like you. But there's so many scenes where I'm like, only a gay man can understand that. And like only a gay man can heal the way, like, I can't relate to this, but Kurt having his dad Bert and like him being the best allied dad, like, yeah, that's healing. You watch that and
seeing that, it's like, okay.
Like when Finn called, like, was saying the F word and Bert kicked him out and he's like, I'm sorry if this means I lose your mom, but like, this is my son. Like, I never had my dad defend me like that. I never will, but seeing that doesn't make me mad. Doesn't make me like, I wish I had that. It's more of like, it's
what about
beautiful.
me?
Exactly.
About you.
What about you?
Yeah.
Okay, is it okay if I kind of talk for a second, like my first real like gay media stuff, and I feel like how that shaped me was, so of course I kind of grew up seeing gay stuff. We talk about that, like, I mean, I talk about how the first time I ever saw something gay was like Family Guy, like two guys kissing, remember? But I feel like the first like gay movie I had ever watched was such like a high standard in the sense too. It was Moonlight, and Moonlight is like the most gorgeous movie ever to me. Like, I remember watching that and feeling like I was seen. My mom, growing up, I've talked about this. I was an obviously gay kid that would be kind of not bullied for it, but I remember my stepdad asking me like at like 4th grade, like, "Are you gay?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, literally, I was an obviously gay kid. My mom was a drug addict. And I didn't live with my dad. My dad was always off somewhere, like drinking. He was a young dad. And so watching this, where this boy of color living with his drug addict mom, being gay in this, like, I grew up in Imperial Avenue. Literally, I lived on the Four Corners. I don't know if you ever, I didn't know about it until like a friend told me, but it's like the Four Corners of Death. And it's like in Imperial Avenue. It's like notorious. And I literally grew up there. And so like, watching Moonlight was so like, it was so much because I'm like, whoa, like, you know, when you think about gay rep, a lot of people think of like a white gay man, you know, and this was something that was so, I felt like me. And even the scene where Chiron at the end, he visits his mom in the halfway house. I've visited you know, like I have been there. And so Moonlight is like, to me, peak representation for like my life. And I feel like that's also, I swear to God, that's when I realized like, representation matters because I felt seen, and like it also made me realize I've never felt seen before. So it was an amazing experience. Moonlight is one of the greatest movies ever. It sucks because I remember my dad tried watching it and him saying like, that was the most disgusting movie I've ever seen. And it was literally the beach scene where Chiron and Kevin like have their first kiss and have their first like sexual encounter, and that's such a beautifully intimate scene. And like, I was thinking about the scene before where Chiron talks about how he's like, sometimes I want to cry so much, like I feel like I'm just going to drown in it. And I'm just like, oh. And like, to me, that's also where I'm like, to be closed-minded like that, it's just sad. That must be such a sad way to live your life. Like, there's so much beautiful gay representation. So like, I think Moonlight will stand the test of time and
100%.
oh, so good. So good. And I feel like I'll never forget when Call Me By Your Name came out, people were like, oh, we haven't had a gay movie like this that's gotten this much like attention in since Brokeback Mountain. And literally Moonlight came out the year before. I'm like, it won Best Picture. Call Me By Your Name didn't win Best Picture. It barely won like an Oscar or two. But Moonlight, which won several Oscars, including Best Supporting Actor and the fucking Best Picture, gays don't consider that. And that's also, that bothers me, is like, gay representation to gay men is like, as long as they can have sex with whoever the main characters are, then that's their rap.
Not only that, but I feel like if they can't, like you said, if they can't relate to it, they don't care.
100%.
If they can plaster themselves on that like scenario,
yeah,
then it's like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Moonlight, I remember, like, isn't there a scene when he's like, when he go after they're all like adults, he's like, no one's ever like touched me, or it's just like,
yeah,
you know. And I feel like people just don't want to like sit down and think,
yeah,
you know, because I feel like Moonlight is not like, it's more about, it's kind of like Challengers in the way that it's more about its subtleties, rather than like
what's
thrown at you.
Yeah,
you have to be able to think, or like at least perceive those things. And people, and that's so sad. Like your dad saying, like
what? Like literally what? You don't see shit. It's not that deep. And to be fair, that was like 2016, 2017. And
what about it?
Yeah. Like hopefully you grew, right?
What?
Yeah. And I feel like he's going to your point of gays want, I feel like that's why gays they'll eat up red, white, and royal blue. Like I have this one friend who I love. And if he's watching this, I love you. But in high school, I remember when Love Victor came out, or Love Simon, which came out, which I do want to talk about. He bought
and it's better.
And it's
cousin, Latino cousin, Love Victor.
But, and we will discuss that trust. But you know, when Love Simon came out, he bought books, he rented the movie, but all that, right? And he hadn't seen Moonlight. And I was like, well, when are you gonna watch Moonlight? He's like, I'm so broke now. I'll rent it when I can. He's like, I want to support. Because I was like, well, you can watch it online for free. He's like, no, I want to support. I'm like, well, you could watch it later and support. But like all the coins went to the thing that's more accessible. And that's one thing where I'm, like you said, like gays want something easy to plaster themselves on. Because I feel like a lot of gay men also, especially white ones, I'm like, y'all didn't struggle like you thought you did. Like the peak of your struggle is like being the gay kid in school, which is a struggle. But when you're a gay of color, when you're struggling in other aspects, that informs your story. It becomes more nuanced.
The way can I say something?
Of course.
I feel like I consider like white gays just white men in general, because I feel like, okay, whatever your struggle, but like at the end of the day, I'm like, you're a white man.
Yes.
You know? Like you can, unless you're like a super like feminine gay,
and
even then you're not gonna face the same like prejudices that like a gay man of color would.
Yes.
It's you know, like as much as the hate was, it make me sound like I don't
vibe with white gays. Yeah, no, me neither.
Like they always try to like play the victim because, you know, of course they are gay men, but like your struggle is never gonna equate to like for example like yours, you know,
or even like gay men love to be or white gay men love to be transphobic as shit too. And I'm like, you ugly pieces of like white cotton will never understand the struggles and the progress. Yes, that like these trans women, for a black trans woman, the average life expectancy. So this is how often trans women, this is the age how often they live towards. It's 35. They're literally at 16. That's their midlife. That's horrible. And like for these white gay men who, I'm like, come on, you like Billy Eichner walks. You have Neil Patrick Harris. You have all these white gay icons that walk so you guys could run. And even then, you guys are still gonna play victim. Like, please.
And they still untie their shoes and because they want to trip and fall.
100%.
Like you already have a good road paved ahead of you.
Yeah.
Whatever. Sorry for that.
The tangent. No, but it's fucking real.
Like,
Ironically, though, a lot of our representation is white gay men because that's also all
we have.
Yes.
It's not by choice.
It's really not. It's
because like it's what we have.
Yeah. Kind of, now that we were kind of on the topic, let's talk about Love, Simon and then Love, Victor.
Yes.
So, when did you watch Love, Simon? Were you part of that craze? Like, were you watched it?
I remember the first thing I saw of Love, Simon, I really remember because I sent it to you. It was a clip when because the mom's a therapist, right?
Yes.
And it was when he came out to her, and it was just a really like beautiful conversation they had, and that's what made me want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I think I even told them, I want to watch Love, Simon, and like, I mean, it was cute.
It's cute. Yes.
It's like Heartstopper.
Yeah, exactly that.
You can't go in expecting Moonlight.
Yes.
You're getting what you're signing up for.
Yeah. And I feel like really quick, we deserve that too. Straight people have a bunch of mid-romance movies. That's all we see, you know? But like, gay people can have something mid.
Yeah. Red, white, and royal blue.
Exactly.
Like,
highbrow all the time.
Yeah, like, no, it's okay to have fun.
Yeah. Okay. So I was president of my high school.
So were you part of like the whole thing?
Yes. So I to the point where I organized after school like rides, and we all went to the theater together to go watch, support. I literally made, because I was part of my newspaper too, I made an email that I like, and it was a few people reached out, and it was just something whatever, but people reached out on how to come out, and I made an email to be like, hey, I've been out. If you have any questions, here's my email. And I had a few that were talking to me about it. And I feel like what it represented was better than what it was. Because at that point, that was our first like major rom-com that was gay ever in like history that wasn't like rated R or something, like literally. And, you know, not for nothing, it wasn't just a white story. Like Love, Simon ended up. Yeah, you know, it wasn't. It took its strides. You know, it walked. It really did. And I feel like there's credit to be said. But I mean, the biggest complaint lodged against it was similar to Heartstopper, unrealistic, straight. And that one I think has more merit than Heartstopper because the straight friends are very centered in Love, Simon. Like I remember they all dropped. They were the worst.
They were bad friends.
Yeah, like he got outed and they were like, wow, like don't even talk. I'm like, come on, y'all. Like, please. And so like that to me was like, okay, a woman wrote this. And that's another one where I'm like, yeah, a woman wrote this, which isn't always bad. And it was pure, it was sweet. And it made its subtle progress. And I feel like, I mean, my friend, and I get it, why he was so obsessed with Love, Simon, it helped him come out. There was a lot of people who like Love, Simon helped them come out. And so like I said, what it represented was better than what it was. But you know, it was fun. It's cute. It's fun. I know.
Love, Simon walked, so Love, Victor could run.
Yeah, so let's transition to Love, Victor. Yeah,
because,
dude, I feel like a lot of people didn't know about it though. Should we kind of explain?
Yeah, I mean, Love, Victor, it was, it's set in the Love, Simon universe.
Yes.
It follows Victor, this Latino guy who, you know, he's coming into terms with his sexuality too. And then he moves to the school where Simon was.
Yes.
And then he finds out about like everything that happened to Simon, and he decides to love. Right, I got chills retelling it. He writes Simon an email, and they start typing. That's what it's called, Love, Victor, because you know. But yeah, it's just I like Love, Victor more, not only because it's like a person of color.
Yeah, they're all Latino.
They're Latino. Yeah. So kind of like, I mean, of course, not to the same degree as you with Moonlight, but it was cool. It was good. It was nice seeing, you know, like a Latino with like a good relationship with his mom.
Yeah.
And, you know, in how that, like, how you're coming to terms with your sexuality affects those around you.
Yes.
Because, like, I feel like white gays, at the end of the day, they'll always have like a good family.
Yes.
You know? Like even if they come out, they can more than likely count on their family support.
Yeah.
But when you're brown or you like black too, you can't really. That's not a for sure.
Yeah. Oh, never.
There's always that fear that like, oh, if you come out, like, oh, who's like they're not going to talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, so seeing kind of that struggle play out on TV, it was really nice.
Yes. I mean, in Love, Simon, his parents were both like, we're the bad ones. I wish it had made you more cut. They were so ready and accepting. But Love Victor, they weren't. And that's real, though.
It's real.
That's the real thing.
That's a drama that we need to see more of.
Yes, and that's the thing. White gays don't like to see that represented because that's not their reality. I always think about when you were talking to that one guy who was white, and he was kind of complaining about like the grandma from Encanto, or like either the who was, I'm trying to remember too, but he was like, oh, I can't believe they redeemed her. Like she should never. And I'm like, oh, you'll never understand the dynamics of like, I can't speak for all people, like communities of color, but you'll never understand the dynamics of a Latino community that's so rooted in like their Latino-ness. Like it plays such a big part.
Yeah. I feel like that's the way I'm gonna get so distracted. I feel like family is an aspect that only like Latinos, like the importance of the family, and like it's just really, it's a scary thought of like losing it.
Yeah, because it's real. I'll never forget my pops telling me, I guess I had like an aunt, a tia, who's trans. But when she had came out as trans, the entire family, like my pops, I remember him telling me, like, we don't know if she's alive or dead. Like, and I feel like, I don't know, white people aren't like that. White people are more accepting. At the very least, they like won't kick you out. Like, so I feel like Love Victor balanced that line more. And I feel like Love Victor was what people wanted Love Simon to be.
It was more realistic.
Yes, but then it also goes to show people don't talk about Love Victor.
Because it's not a white gay.
Exactly. And that's why I also feel like this is good that we're doing this, because we're trying to put that representation out there too, of like
good representation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I kind of have a more niche movie, like actually really niche. I've never seen anybody talk about it, and I feel like you would love it. Like we should watch soon. So this is a movie I kind of discovered in high school. It was like Netflix and like LGBT movies, and of course it had like 4. So I like this was one of them, and it's a movie called Fourth Man Out. So it's a movie, and yes, it's all. By the way, it's all like white guys, but I haven't seen this movie since high school, truly. But it's about these 4 like straight white guys, but one of them, and they're all very straight, like all very masculine, all that. One of them comes out as gay, and like the movie's about the other 3 friends trying to make him feel comfortable. So it's a cute movie. And I feel like that's another film I kind of wanted to shout out, because I feel like even though it's not my representation, I knew a lot of queer friends who felt represented by like thinking they were straight, and then like being still straight passing and being around straight friends, and like having that dichotomy of like, you know, versus like something like another film that I want to shout out. They're kind of intertwined, like the opposite of that spectrum. Have you ever watched GBF?
No, but I had a feeling that was the only regular name. I was talking about GBF or something.
So good. I'm sorry. That one, GBF to me is like the movie equivalent of Kurt in Glee.
That's, yeah.
Like literally, like people want, like, it seems like it's going to be some stereotypical, like, hateful thing, but no, it was really good. And I feel like those are 2 like movies I kind of did want to shout out that's like opposite spectrum of like Fourth Man Out, which is like for the more masculine gays, and then GBF for those gays who knows what it's like being a GBF. And it's fun, it's tongue-in-cheek, you know, and I feel like I like that, because being gay is fun and tongue-in-cheek, you know, you can make it that way. You can make it really serious, you can make it really straight, but I think it's fun when the audience is having fun with the characters. But is there any movies that you feel like not a lot of people know about that you would like shout out?
Not movies, but well,
we have other stuff.
I mean, we've seen it, Firebird. I feel like not a lot of people know about it, and I mean, the first time I saw that movie, I fell in love with it. I think it's set. I don't remember it like very well, but I think it's set in like during the Cold War in Russia. Or it was World War II. I don't know. It was a war in Russia. And it's about this soldier who falls in love with, I don't know, a higher ranking official.
Yeah.
And it's them just trying to like live in this very straight, like hetero world.
Yeah.
And I mean, spoiler alert, one of them dies.
Mm-hmm.
But then
in many cases,
you know, literally, because another movie that is also really good is The Summer of '85.
Mm-hmm.
It's set in France, not in Italy, but that one was really cute too. because I feel like I gravitate a lot towards not tragedies, but almost like kind of like dark.
Yeah, emotional.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's kind of more what I want to experience. Is more like emotional, like
Depth.
Yeah, because like, for example, another like it's a show. It's called Scam, but the more specifically the French one, because season 3 it revolves around this couple Elliot and Lucas, and one of them is coming to terms with his sexuality, and the other one he's bipolar.
Oh,
I know the way I've been wanting you to watch.
But it's like on the Google Drive, right?
Dude, me having to download the episodes and then having to download another app to watch the episodes. So it's like a whole thing. But dude, like seasons 1, 2, and 3, like
That sounds so good to be honest.
The first one is about like social pressures. The second one is about like our word. The third one is about like homosexuality.
What's it?
And the third one's about religion, which is like another. The fourth one is about religion, which is also really good. But I like seeing stories where the gay characters are not too like simple.
Yeah,
multifaceted characters.
Yes. Okay. So speaking of multifaceted TV show characters that are gay, one show and bipolar and all that. Have you ever watched or heard of Shameless? I feel like you've
heard of it.
Yeah,
I've seen the gay clip.
Literally. So, too, I love Shameless. That's another one where I felt like represented by because that one is like a group of kids or a family, the Gallaghers, and they're all like struggling. They're lower class. Their parents are addicts and bipolar, and I'm like, okay, obviously I felt akin. But specifically, there's the main gay character. His name is Ian, and I'm not acting as if I'm literally Ian, but whenever I watch it, I literally feel like I'm literally Ian because of his nuances. He's gay, he's bipolar, he grew up lower class, and he has like more of like a lower class mindset. Like
bipolar?
Yeah. And you don't find that till like later. Oh, dude, and I was a more
spoiler.
I know, like he's spoiler. And one thing that is season 1, which is like totally you're gonna see why he's hooking up, and he's like 15. And he's hooking up with his older boss.
Is it the convenience?
Yes, the convenience store.
Season 1?
Yes. And so he's literally, and that's also something that's like, something that like gay men can relate to, but it's not like a good thing. And like, it's so funny because in the show, he defends it, but the other character, like his older brother is like, no, I would beat his ass. Like he was touching on my little brother. And I like that because like Ian's like, exactly. And so Ian sees it from one point of view and he sees it like, no, I had agency in this. And I just like that because he's not perfect. And so he has a partner throughout the show and it's on and off. His name's Mickey. And like, Mickey's like this short, toxic king. And they're so like, they'll get into like fist fights and they're like, and then with all bloody, they'll like make, and it's like, it's so toxic. It's so wrong. But at the same time, it's so like juicy. It's so like, you never see this type of gay rep of like these toxic, borderline abusive, yet so deeply in love characters and relationship. And like you talked about, like, it's not, we're not watching it because that's what we should get. We're watching it because it's entertaining. It's nuanced. It's like characters that aren't always going to be perfect. Like Heartstopper, I always think about how they handled, what's his name, Ben?
Yeah.
And I like, I get it. It's a very like simple show and they can't really unpack the nuances of maybe a closeted gay kid who doesn't know boundaries and like, and like, I think there's like,
redeem Ben.
We understand why, but I feel like Ben was like an interesting character to me because I'm like, oh, like, you're new, like he felt about it. You're nuanced. That's the thing. And like, as much as I love Heartstopper, like I would not say any of those characters are like nuanced. Where I'm like, whoa,
they're very one-sided.
Yes, and that's okay. But that's one thing about Shameless that I really enjoy is like the characters are nuanced and they don't always think the best things. They don't always do or say what's right. And I feel like gay men should have that because I'm like, one thing that I watched like this 40-minute video on, and it was talking about how like good representation is bad. Like having a character who is just like by the books, will do everything right. Like that's not interesting. Like, straight people get to be messy all the time. Like Carrie Bradshaw, most ghetto, messiest woman alive, Sex in the City. But like, that's fun to watch. And like, gay men should have that too. Like, gay men should be able to be messy. They should be able to be F-ups. They should have affairs. They should, be bad people, because like, straight people can have that too. It's fun. It's genuinely fun to engage with, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like we need messy characters, because also I feel like that helps shift the image that like society has of gay men.
Yeah.
Because like,
we're all docile.
yeah, we're all like the women and the like, like there's more to us. And you're right. Like, I didn't know any of like that whole Shameless thing.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
It is. And like, I've had rewatches where I've only watched the gay stuff, honestly, because that is very unique too. You don't get that anywhere else, really. I can't think of like
can't think of
right where it's like that messy. And like, that's
I guess maybe Looking,
yes,
Patrick going after
I actually agree.
Even though I mean,
let's talk about Looking. I feel I didn't know about it until you told me. I'm like 2021. So can you kind of describe Looking?
It's called Looking because, well, I don't know if it's because of that, but my interpretation of it is that when gay men go on apps, it's like looking, like,
which means like it is genius.
Whatever. What?
I was gonna say, looking on gay apps is like, for those who don't know, is like they're looking for a hookup. They're looking for, and that's like, if you open up like Grindr, looking, you're gonna say
looking question mark.
Exactly. So it's funny. It's
so funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mainly about Patrick, this gay man who lives in San Francisco with his friends. So it's like 4 friends in San Francisco, which, I feel like that's kind of like gay capital of the world. And it's just his life. Yeah, just living as a gay man. Company. And this new CEO comes in and, things happen. And it's very messy because, Patrick, he starts also seeing another guy.
Rowan? No, that's the actor's name, I think.
Yeah. Ricky.
Rick, yeah.
What's Ricky?
Richie?
Richie.
Yeah.
Richie. Richie.
Great man.
Yeah.
A great.
And then it's just the trials and tribulations, of like a gay man finding good love, but not wanting to work for it.
Yeah.
And it's just.
You're so right. I feel like Looking is the closest thing we've gotten to like gay Sex in the City.
1,000,000%.
Where it's like, okay, like, yeah, Looking is never as like problematic as Shameless, which is like totally different things. But it is as messy as Sex and the City, which I love. You're so right. I feel like,
if anything, I feel like it's messier because it's more like Shameless. It sounds messy because it's more like between them.
Yeah.
Like as like their relationship.
Yeah.
Like Looking, the characters themselves
act messy. Yeah.
Messy. Yeah. Like you're always like, really? Like
100%. Like I always think about how like Patrick didn't let Richie have certain type of like sex with him, but immediately let the
how can this whole thing with like, are you like cut or like,
my God, I like literally forgot about that.
So that's messy, but also it's kind of real.
It is real. It's genius.
Like,
white gays
don't understand that. They're like cut dick only. I like no uncut. Like I feel like it's such a niche thing to be picky about.
Yeah,
but that's like
something real that they do.
Something real that gay men focus on.
Yes.
Not so weird.
It is weird. It's predatory. Not predatory. It's fetishizy. Like I always think about Bad Bunny had posted a photo where he was in his underwear and you saw the outline. But everybody was like, "Oh, he's not uncut. He's not uncut." Like, "Oh, never mind." Or like so many.
They have no chance.
Chance at all anywhere near.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's like, it was so weird. It's like I feel like as like Latino gay men, I feel like specifically we get asked that pretty often. And it's like weird. Like it's stereotype, it's fetishy, it's like, and whatever, people can have their preferences, but at the same time, like keep that shit to yourself. Like that's one thing where I'm like, people can have preferences, but if it's something that people can't change, keep that to yourself. You don't need to let people know you're only into uncut. Just quietly move in that world. You know what I mean? And I feel like, even though, like, actually, it's a show I would actually compare Looking more to than Sex and the City? Girls from Lena. Because I feel like Girls was self-aware that this is like, when I first watched Girls, it was like in high school. And I'm like, oh, okay. then I experienced life being around white women and rewatching girls. I'm like, holy shit, this is exactly how they act. And like, that's the point, you know? And I feel like looking is just like that. Being like cut and cut, like, that's exactly how white gay men are act.
Especially in such a gay city like San Francisco.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
It's our New York.
Yeah, it is. And that's exactly why Girls in Sex and the City being in New York makes sense. Because that's a white woman's capital. Like, that's where the culture, you know? And like, for San Francisco is that for gay men. And like, you know what? Looking's good.
I think like it is excellent.
Excellent. Like,
it still holds up. I mean, I don't know.
It's great television.
It's great television.
Not good, great television, I feel.
Like acting, the story.
Like, if you want something more than Heartstopper, more than Love Victor, but you don't want something tragic or highbrow, it's like Moonlight, Call Me by Your Name. I feel like Looking's a great middle. Like, it's an HBO show.
Like I feel like that alone tells you the quality of television.
Exactly. Like, it's not, you know, this ain't no CW show.
No, it's no Netflix.
No.
HBO.
It's HBO. It's not Hulu.
I'm like, speaking of Hulu, there's another show also. I mean, it's super, like, I feel like right now it's really big, but like 911 Lone Star.
Oh, I need to watch.
So it has like 1 second per episode of like the gay characters. It's still like, it's prominent.
Yeah.
It's also good to highlight shows with good gay character, good side gay characters. Because even if they're not at the forefront of the show, they still add something to it. Because I mean, I don't remember their names, but the two gay characters, they're the main reason I'm sure the show is still on.
Oh, well,
really? People like, I mean, not people, but like gays are like me, you know, like,
yeah.
I'm still tuned in because of them. Like, I'll check the crowd.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, that's why I think we're very like qualified to talk about gay media, because we watch it all. We
watch anything
and everything, and then we always go in with an open mind.
Yeah,
always.
I saw Scam. I sat through 3 seasons just to watch 1 season with the gay characters. Like, I'll put in the work. I'm not gonna like not pay attention. Like, I'll pay attention.
Yeah.
So
we're actual viewers. That's the thing.
Viewers.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk? I mean, I also have
let me I think I left my
part.
So I do have. So there's actually 2 that I kind of want to lump together because I feel like so Moonlight was like my childhood, right? But like I've grown up, like my mom isn't an addict, you know, like I'm not surrounded by that anymore. I've long grown past that. And I feel like the closest thing that I felt like represented was these two things. One's a show, one's a movie. The show is Generation, dude. Oh my God. Like, mind you, this show was like the gayest thing ever. It got not only canceled, but like wiped from the fucking existence of the world. I can't even show people that show because I wanted like, I when it was like before, because I think it had like a season, it had like part 1, part 2. It never had a season 2. And in between part 1, I made sure anyone and everyone, I'm like, we need to watch. And it was great. It was fun. It was like, that's a show that I think really understood gay youth in a way that Heartstopper and Love Victor can't. Because like, that's like a sanitized version of it.
It's a commercial.
Exactly. But Generation did not need, it was like a high schooler version of Looking, like where it's like the messiness that high schoolers could involve in. You know, they're not out like having sex with their boss, but they're being messy. You know, they're having crushes on teachers. Like, and I feel like that was all me in high school. Like Justice Smith's character, Chester, I believe, in Generation, like post Moonlight was like the closest thing where I was like, oh my God, this is me. You know, like he was all balls. He was super outly gay. Like I was like, oh my God, like this is me. It is such a great feeling. And that's one thing that nothing can replace, I feel, or few things can replace, but the feeling like you're being seen in something that like other people are too. Like watching Moonlight, like watching Love, Simon in a theater where there's straight people, you know, where I'm just like, okay, like you guys have to exist in my world for a change versus me existing in your world. And Generation was so my world. And like, it's a world I wish I could have lived in forever. Like, and it was hilarious. I always think about like the scene where she's like, there's like a lockdown and the girl with gay dads is like, like Like, I'm just having fun with my dads. Like, it's just great. It was so great. And everybody was either queer or like an ally to extreme. Like, it was just like a show where I'm like, gay youth need this. Like, same with Love Victor, same with Heartstopper, same with like, this is stuff like, I think if I grew up with it, I would have dealt with a lot less internal struggles versus like outward struggles. And I feel like, so Generation's that. And then the other one I really want to shout out, and to me, it's my favorite rom-com. And I think it's one of the best gay movies that's not like highbrow. And I think it's one of the greatest modern adaptations of like previous work, and that's Fire Island. Fire Island. And you know what? A lot of like, I don't know, it kind of bothers me when like feminine gay men don't like that movie. I'm like,
I feel like because it's just internalized. So
yeah, I'm like, you don't think that's what you guys look like?
Yeah.
Like when you guys are in Hillcrest, like BFFR, like, and that's why I saw this and I loved it. I love Fire Island. It's a modern adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, which is one of the most iconic romance movies of all time. So the fact that we got our own kind of spin of that is great. And I feel like Fire Island tackles things like being fetishized, being a gay person of color, being like not super freaking buff. Like, I forget the actor's name. He's great. He's on SNL. But yes, and like his character, I was like, I love when he calls out his friend who's like muscular, and he's like, stop acting like we exist in the same world. Which is like, I've been there, like, especially with like my girlfriends. They'll be like, oh, just put yourself out there, you know, they'll come.
It's
like
that. It's not like that.
It's not like that. And stop acting like it is. And that's the thing that bothers me. And I had never seen that except in Fire Island, where it's like, we exist in different worlds. And even gay men exist in different worlds. The shirtless jocks don't live in the same world that like anyone who's not that does. Even like feminine twinks exist in a different world than like in between, you know? So I feel like Fire Island tackles that nuance so well. And I genuinely hate that gay men can hate on that movie, because I'm like, one, it's hilarious. It's super fun. You know, I rewatched it. Like, I remember I rewatched it like the day after we watched it. I was obsessed, and I also wanted to shout that out too. And I feel like for gay men of color, open up your mind and like let yourself exist in this world. Because maybe that's also an issue. Maybe they're seeing themselves and they don't like what they see. Maybe they're like, oh, and I like that, or like, but it's like, yes, you are, and that's beautiful, and that's fun, and it's great, and yeah, I forever will love Fire Island.
Not only that, but also I feel like look beyond what's just there. You know, like I feel like Fire Island, a lot of people like hate on it because a lot of the characters are not like what they would consider traditionally like attractive.
Yes.
They're not white. You know?
Yeah, they're not white. They're not muscles.
Yeah. So, because for example, like, because wasn't when Fire Island came out, it was around the time like Bros.
Yes.
Yeah. And like Billy Eichner was like, oh, like, why are you guys not supporting this? Like, you know, this is the first like gay rom. He kept claiming it was the first like rom. Like, no, like, okay, two movies can exist within the thing space, but I feel like people don't, or just gay men in general, don't like seeing other people get the representation deserve.
It's like they want them first.
100%. It's always me first, but it's not like, but what about like the community?
Yeah, they're like, you could be side characters in my white gay film, but
that's it.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something overall that I think we were making progress, and then it kind of went away. Like now it's nothing but white gay man on white gay man. And I don't know, it does get a little disheartening, but at the same time, I can't take it too personally. Like I follow this person on Twitter who like, every time a project is announced where it's two white gay men, like they go on this massive rant about it. And I understand that. But at the same time, it's like, what are we going to do? Complain and be miserable and gray hairs? Like, let's just have fun with it. And like, I don't know. I feel like it's getting to a point where we should demand better representation, but we also can't be hypercritical of the one we get. Like, if we're going to tear down everything that's given to us, why would they try? Like, I'm not saying this is why, but I noticed the past few years, less and less companies are doing like pride stuff. And this isn't why, but all those, how many years of gay men hating on companies doing that, being like, oh, this is just capital. And it was. It's just capitalist, all that. But I say that to say, like, we complained so much and then it was gone. And then we were like, well, where is it now? So it's kind of like, I just don't want that to happen to our media. Like, I don't want us to be so critical of our own that no one feels comfortable enough to try.
Yeah.
So I have like one more thing I kind of want to talk about, and it's like a good thing. I feel like we're making progress. We're getting more nuanced stuff. I think we're getting better portrayals of gay characters in stuff. Like, I don't, as much as I love Heartstopper and all that, I want fucking pirate gays. I want superhero gay men. I want James Bond gay. You know, I want representation of gay men that's like fun too. And I feel like I have two written, and it's Chucky, the show, and Interview with the Vampire, which I'm like, that's what I want more of. Like, gay representation that's fun. Like, a gay boy who's like dealing with the psycho killer doll, and then a gay black vampire man who's like in this interracial relationship with like a toxic white vampire. Like, you know, we wouldn't have gotten that 20 years ago. Like, we wouldn't have got that 10 years ago, where it's like something so gay, but also so genre. That's the thing. I want gay genre films that is outside of the safe rom-com, calm drama state, like sci-fi gays. I want, like I said, pirate gays. I want gays that are just like fun as well. And I feel like 911 allows that a bit, you know, like cop gays or like firefighter gays or like, you know, a little song. But like, you know, something a little more interesting than that. So I feel like Chucky, which is great, and Interview with the Vampire is great. And I feel like that's us making like progress, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, for example, like Chucky, I feel like it also just stems from like the resilience of the creator. Oh no, because yes. I mean, Don Mancini, I mean, so many times he did what? Chucky 1, Chucky 2, Chucky 3, Bride of Chucky, and then Child of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, and Cult of Chucky. You know, he's done so many movies, and not all of them were like, you know, box office hits, but he loved the character. He was so passionate about his work that he just kept going. And I mean, he himself as a gay man, he was able to create, you know, a very LGBTQ plus friendly universe. I mean, like Chucky, Glenda,
gender fluid,
you know, and then Jake and
Tandem,
you know,
yes.
Like, I'm not saying, you know, like, oh, if you don't see anything, like, go create your own, but like, also like, don't be afraid to make your own, you know, like queer media.
I love that. Yes, because like no one's gonna do it but us.
No,
like, and when they do it, it's never the way we could. I mean, I think of if Challengers was directed by a straight man, it would have nowhere near the sauce.
No.
And that's the thing, because a gay man knows how to work queerness into it. And I feel like Call Me by Your Name was written by a straight man, but the movie was directed by a gay man. And there's like, it oozes that. And I feel like, you know, now it's our time. We should strike now. Gayness has both never been on the rise, but also such like a hot button that like studios are scared, I guess. But like, you guys should go out there and put that. I'm hopefully within like a few months, I have a web series coming out that's like all gay. You know, I'm trying to put my imprint in there. And I feel like we want to thank everyone who does put it, even if it's not a gay man, you know, even if it's a fujushi,
it's something.
It's something. And I'm tired of existing in a world where it's only straight. Like, that's all I have all the time. I'm like, no. Even like White Lotus, you know, season 2 is not as like man on man as I thought, but it was like, obviously like Mike White is bisexual. You could tell like all the like man fanny we see, like even that, I'm like, let's inject gayness. Let's inject gayness into whatever we can, because that way we'll consume it more. Because trust me, there was a time where I refused to watch anything straight. I was like, y'all are boring. I'm over this. Like, let me look up random shit. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So you guys, please let us know your guys' favorite gay representation. And like, if we missed anything, like maybe we did. Trust me,
I couldn't remember it.
Oh, like we watch so much gay stuff. So we probably watch it and we love to interact and be like, oh, like, yeah. Like there's a few things I didn't mention. God's Own Country,
Young Royals,
even Brokeback Mountain is something that we could, you know, but we'll go along more.
Yeah, maybe a part 2. I don't know.
Exactly.
Like,
we'll talk
maybe next year.
For next year's Pride. Yeah.
But thank you so much for watching.
This is the DL Show.
Yes.
I'm Drew.
I'm Leo.
And have a good day.
Bye. Thank you.